mother, and now your brother suddenly back?
Me free.
You're gonna
Mission.
Mr. Magic Man!
The Sons of Sparta.
I can't even tell which of you is the hand and which is the asshole!
Demons are rising, and only one hunter stands between chaos and humanity. Welcome back to M Cinema Reviews. Today we dive into Devil May Cry, a TV series 2025. A dark, action packed world filled with brutal battles, deadly secrets, and a hero who laughs in the face of hell itself. Get ready because Dante is back and the hunt has begun. Devil May Cry is an adult animated urban fantasy action series created by Adi Shankar and animated by Studio Mir. The show is based on Capcom's famous Devil May Cry franchise. The series follows the legendary demon hunter Dante, a cocky yet highly skilled mercenary who specializes in hunting supernatural creatures for money. Armed with his trademark sword and dual pistols, Dante becomes caught in a growing conflict when a mysterious villain known as a White Rabbit begins orchestrating a demonic invasion on Earth. As demons begin emerging into the human world, Dante is forced to confront powerful enemies, dark conspiracies, and secrets connected to both humanity and the demon realm. At the same time, he comes into conflict with a Mary and Akram, a determined human soldier whose methods and beliefs often clash with Dante's reckless attitude and supernatural abilities. The series combines fast paced action, gothic horror, dark humor, and stylish combat inspired heavily by the original games. It expands the lore of the franchise while introducing new interpretations of familiar characters and themes surrounding demons, revenge, family legacy, and the blurred line between humans and monsters. Produced for Netflix, the first season premiered on April 3, 2025, and quickly gained attention for its animation style, action choreography, and soundtrack. A second season was officially renewed shortly after release and premiered in May 2026. While critics generally praised the show, reactions among longtime fans of the games were more divided due to changes made to characters, tone, and story elements compared to the original source material. In Devil May Cry, the story follows Dante, a powerful demon hunter who is secretly a champion, a half human, half demon hybrid. Known for his sarcastic personality, stylish combat skills, and supernatural strength, Dante spends his life hunting demons for money while trying to survive in a world that fears creatures like him. As demonic activity increases, Dante becomes the target of Dark Com, a secret government organization led by Vice President William Bynes. The organization sees demons as a global threat and begins hunting Dante because of his demonic heritage, believing he could become just as dangerous as the monster he fights. At the same time, a mysterious and dangerous terrorist known as the White Rabbit launches a violent campaign against humanity. Obsessed with demons and driven by hatred toward humans, the White Rabbit seeks revenge on the human race and plans to unleash chaos by triggering a large scale demonic invasion. Caught between Darkom's relentless pursuit and the White Rabbit's growing threat, Dante is forced into a brutal conflict that pushes him to confront both his human side and his demonic nature. As battles erupt between humans, demons, and government forces, the series explored themes of identity, revenge, preju- prejudice, and the fear of unknown while delivering intense supernatural action and stylish combat sequences inspired by the original game. Devil May Cry Season 2 2025-2026. A deep dive into the casting, voices, and legacy of Netflix's explosive animated adaptation. The Netflix animated series Devil May Cry, which premiered its first season on April 3, 2025, quickly became a standout in adult animation, blending high octane action, demonic lore, stylish combat, and the signature irreverent humor of Capcom's beloved video game franchise. Created and showrun by Adi Shankar, Castlevania with animation by Studio Mir, the series follows demon hunter Dante as he navigates a world on the brink of infernal invasion. Just 1 week after season 1's release, Netflix renewed it for season 2, which dropped all 8 episodes on May 12, 2026. Season 2 escalates the stakes with globe-trotting battles, deeper brotherly conflicts between Dante and Virgil, new demonic threats, and expanded roles for key characters. The casting, primarily English voice talent with strong Japanese counterparts, has been pivotal to its success, capturing the flamboyant, emotional, and badass essence of the Devil May Cry universe. This video provides an exhaustive exploration of the season 2's casting, drawing heavily from official credits, including the provided IMDb full cast page, voice actor backgrounds, character arcs, production insights, fan reception, and more. Here is a comprehensive overview structured for clarity and richness of series. Core casting philosophy: fidelity to games meets fresh takes. Adi Shankar's approach emphasized voices that could deliver the game's over the top style while grounding it in emotional realism for an animated TV format. Many actors reprised or echoed their game roles, creating continuity for fans. Johnny Yong Bosch leads as Dante, a role that feels like destiny given his history with the franchise and similar energetic protagonists. The ensemble mixes veteran voice actors known for anime dub, video games, and live action, ensuring versatility for intense action, witty banter, and dramatic revelations. Season 2 introduces or expands several key players, including more focus on Virgil, Robbie Diamond, Arias, Graham McTavish, and new antagonists like Beowulf. Main voice cast for season 2: Johnny Young Bosch as Dante. Johnny Young Bosch returns as the cookie pizza loving, demon slaying son of Sparta. Bosch has a long association with Devil May Cry through dubs and brings youthful energy, sarcasm, and raw power to the performance. His Dante is laid back yet fiercely protective, perfectly balancing humor with the trauma of losing his mother and confronting his heritage. Bosch's career includes iconic roles like Likigo in Bleach, Vash in Trigun, and numerous Power Rangers voices. In Devil May Cry, he nails the jackpot moments in the Devil Trigger transformations. Season 2 reportedly gives him even more emotional depth in brotherly confrontations. Fans praise how his voice carries the weight of centuries old demonic legacy while keeping the swagger intact. Scout Taylor-Compton as Mary Lady Arkham. Scout Taylor-Compton voices the nonsense Darkcom lieutenant, nicknamed Lady by Dante. Her portrayal mixes toughness, vulnerability, and sharp wit. Taylor-Compton, known for live action roles like Laurie Strode in Halloween 2007 and appearances in Charmed, Charmed, brings a grounded intensity that makes Lady a formidable human counterpart to the supernatural cast. In season 2, Lady's arc deepens with family legacies, demon refugee dilemmas, and evolving dynamics with Dante. Her chemistry with Bosch sparks fan shipping and memes. Japanese counterpart Fumiko Orikasa reprising game roles adds another layer for international releases. Robbie Damon as Virgil. Virgil, Dante's twin brother and rival, gets a major spotlight in season 2 after teases in season 1. Robbie Damon delivers a cool, ambitious, and conflicted performance. Blue coated perfection with katana precision. Damon is a powerhouse in anime, Yuri in Promare, Prompto in Final Fantasy XV, etc., and captures Virgil's superiority complex alongside underlying brotherhood. Season 2 explores Virgil's Nilo Angelo form, motivations tied to Mundus, and epic clashes with Dante. Team Dante versus Team Virgil. Debates exploded online post release. Hirokoi Hirata provides the Japanese voice, maintaining franchise continuity. Hon Lee as the White Rabbit. Hon Lee voices the demonic terrorist antagonist from season 1 with lingering influence or arcs into season 2. Known for Splinter in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and other roles, Lee brings nuance and ideological fervor. The White Rabbit's plot to merge worlds drives much of the early conflict. Kevin Conroy and Lan James Corlett as William Baines. The late legendary Kevin Conroy, Batman icon, recorded parts of Vice President and Darkom head William Baines before his 2022 passing. Lan James Corlett handled additional dialogues and season 2 lines. This posthumous role adds emotional weight. Conroy's authoritative gravitas fits the character's commanding presence perfectly. Chris Coppola as Enzo Ferrino, the information broker, and Dante's alley gets voiced by Chris Coppola, bringing street smart humor and reliability. Enzo provides comic relief and plot forwarding intel. Graham McTavish as Arius. Arius von Edinburgh, Ouroboros CEO and Darkcom founder, is a major season 2 player. McTavish, The Witcher, Loki, Preacher, lends a sophisticated menacing baritone ideal for corporate villainy mixed with dark magic. Additional key voices in season 2: Sally Safioti as Chai, Arias' second in command, Tony Todd, episode 9, and James C. Matthews, 3, later episodes, as Beowulf, a powerful chimera demon serving Mundus. Todd's deep, intimidating voice, Candyman, starts strong. Matthews continues. Rages as Mundus, King of Hell, Tara Strong as Nell Goldstein, Darkcom weapon engineer, versatile talent behind countless animated icons. John Omhondro as Tom Remington Jr., former football player turned soldier. Others: Keith David, Lucan, Andrew Morgado, Agrosax, Rick D. Wasserman, Trismegia, and more for demons and supporting roles. Japanese cast highlight for global appeal: Toshiyuki Morikawa, Dante, Fumiko Orikasa, Lady, Hiroaki Hirata, Virgil, all with deep game ties. Supporting and guest cast. Depth in every demon. The full credits IMDb and others list dozens more: Darkcom agent Andres King, etc. Demons like Agni and Rudra, Ikinda, Plasma, and new season 2 additions like Lucan's granddaughter Matilda. Voice direction by Jean Vasilores ensures consistency. This ensemble allows for rich world building, human politics, intersecting demonic incursions, moral gray areas with demon refugees, and family drama. Production and directional insights. Studio Mir handles the fluid, game inspired animation. Episode directors include Seong-woo Han, Matthew Corbin, Hong Ji-young, Sung Min Kim, and others. Writers like Alex Larson keeps the story tight. Music, Power Glove, guest tracks amplifies the style. Season two's rapid renewal and premiere reflect strong viewership. It builds directly on season one's cliffhangers with Virgil's prominence and new relics, arcana plots, reception and impact of the casting. Critics and fans loud and voices for capturing DMC's essence. IGN praised fights and chemistry. Rotten Tomatoes scores are high. Some game pursuits debate lore tweaks, for example Virgil's arc, but the cast's performance win over. Many social media buzz include fan art, edits, and strawberry blueberry meme. Dante, Virgil, Boss, Tyler, Compton, and Diamond's trio drives emotional core. Conroy's involvement adds poignancy. The diverse talent elevates it beyond typical adaptation. Deeper analysis. Why this casting works, legacy versus innovation. Game veterans, fresh face owner Capcom while suiting TV pacing. Emotional range, action stars who can cry, quip, and monologue. Global reach, dual dubs broaden audience, thematic resonance, voice embodied themes of family, redemption, humanity versus demonhood. Season 2 reportedly features more Dante Virgil, teamwork, rivalry, ladies' growth, and epic boss fights voiced with intensity. Behind the scenes and fun engagement cast, question and answers. For example, YouTube sessions with boss Taylor-Compton Demon reveal fun and anecdotes, recording challenges for action scenes, and appreciation for Shankar's vision. Adi Shankar's passion, combined with Capcom oversight, ensures authenticity. Fan communities dissect every line delivery, devil trigger roar, and Easter eggs. Casting announcement built massive hype from 2024 onward. Comparison to video games. Unlike games where players control Dante, the extreme externalize his personality through Bosch's voice. Badger's expanded role echoes Devil May Cry 3 by 5 dynamics. Lady's backstory draws from lore but adapts for TV. Future prospects. With season 2's success, season 3 rumors swirl. The cast's commitment suggests long term potential. More game characters, Trish, Nero, could join. Conclusion. A jackpot of talent. The casting for Devil May Cry Season 2 stands a masterclass in animated adaptation. Johnny Yong Bosch Dante leads a stellar ensemble that delivers spectacle, heart, and style. From Conroy's legacy contribution to new antagonists' miens, every voice enhances the infernal symphony. Whether you are a long-time fan or newcomer, Season two's cast make the hunt unforgettable. This overview spans key elements, expanding each actor's filmography, episode-specific performances, thematic essays, comparisons, and quotes could easily reach 10,000 plus words. For specifics, check IMDb, full credits, Wikipedia, or official Netflix pages. Let's devilish fun. Continue. Jackpot. Devil May Cry TV series 2025. A comprehensive analysis of production, release, and reception. Introduction. The adaptation of Capcom's beloved video game franchise, Devil May Cry, into an animated television series represents a significant milestone in the evolution of video game to screen adaptation, premiering on Netflix on April 3, 2025. This adult animated urban fantasy action series, created and showrun by Adi Shankar, has captured the attention of both long-time franchise enthusiasts and newcomers to the demon hunting universe. The series, produced by the acclaimed South Korean animation studio Mr. Studio Mir, brings the story of Dante, a half demon, half human demon hunter for hire, to the small screen with contemporary twist that re-examines theme of governmental overreach, terrorism, and the complex nature of heroism in modern times. This comprehensive examination explores the intricate production journey, strategic release timeline, and multifaceted critical reception that has shaped the series' place in the landscape. of animated video game adaptations. Production, development, and pre production. The journey of Devil May Cry from concept to Netflix release began in the latter half of 2018 when visionary producer Adi Shankar announced his ambition plan to bring Capcom's action packed franchise to television. Shankar, already recognized in the industry for his exceptional work on Netflix's Castlevania series, leveraged his established reputation to secure the rights to this complex and beloved intellectual property. The decision to develop Devil May Cry for the screen came at the time when video game adaptations were increasingly gaining traction in the streaming entertainment landscape, with various studios recognizing the untapped potential of interactive narratives translated into visual media. At the core of his vision, Shankar envisioned an approach that would honor the source material's characteristic flair for bombastic action while elevating the narrative with both the thematic depth and the contemporary relevance. In interviews, Shankar has expressed his depth and deep appreciation for the Devil May Cry franchise as a self proclaimed fan, revealing that his cosplay of the series' protagonist had initially attracted the attention of Capcom's creative leadership. The producer drew explicit parallels between Devil May Cry and Marvel's Iron Man franchise, suggesting that both properties possessed similar cultural significance and commercial viability. More significantly, Shankar articulated a creative philosophy inspired by Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, indicating his intention to ground the fantastical element of demon hunting within more grounded contemporary setting with substantive thematic exploration. This foundational vision would prove instrumental in shaping the series' distinctive tone and narrative direction. Rather than creating a direct adaptation of the video game's storyline, Shankar and the creative team opted to construct an original narrative that utilized established characters, mythology, and thematic elements from the franchise while establishing fresh, dramatic stakes and character arcs. This approach allowed the series to feel simultaneously reverent of its source material and refreshingly novel to audiences familiar with the games. The pre production phase witnessed the assembly of talented international creative team. Alex Larson, an accomplished writer and screenwriter, was brought on board as the primary architect of the series' screenplay and narrative structure. Working in close collaboration with Shankar, Larson developed the 8-episode first season story, establishing plot points that would introduce the core conflicts driving the narrative forward. The decision to structure the first season as 8 episodes proved to be a deliberate choice that allowed for substantial storytelling depth while maintaining the pacing necessary to sustain viewer engagement across the episodic format. The casting process, which intensified in 2023 and continued in 2024, proved to be a crucial phase in bringing the characters to life. The selection of voice talent extended beyond conventional voice acting circles, incorporating accomplished actors whose distinctive vocal qualities and dramatic range could elevate the performances. The announcement in September 2024 that Johnny Yong Bosch would be voicing Dante marked as a significant decision in production, as Bosch brought his own experience as a voice actor and his understanding of the franchise to the role. Bosses noted in social media posts that original voice actor Ruben Langdon, who had portrayed Dante throughout the video game series, had retired from acting and that Shankar had specifically written the character with Bosch in mind for the role. The involvement of legendary voice actor Kevin Conroy, famous for his iconic portrayal of Batman in an animated production, added another layer of prestige to the project. Conroy's casting as William Bynes, the Vice President of the United States and the head of governmental organization DARCOM, represented a significant coup for the production team. However, the sudden passing of Conroy in November 2022 created an unexpected challenge during production, as he had not completed all of his vocal recordings prior to his death. This necessitated bringing on Lan James Corlett midway through production to complete the character's dialogue, a decision that was ultimately seamlessly integrated into the finished product. Scout Taylor-Compton was cast as Mary Ann Arkham, a nonsense dark-com lieutenant with significant narrative importance throughout the season. The character, known colloquially as Lady in the game, received substantial expansion in the television adaptation, with the series providing extensive backstory and character development that elevated her role from supporting character to co-protagonist. Additional cast members included Hon Lee as the White Rabbit, the season's primary antagonist, Chris Coppola as Enzo Frino, an information broker, and Robbie Damon as Virgil, Dante's twin brother. Filming and animation production. The production of Devil May Cry's animation was entrusted to Studio Mir, a South Korean animation house renowned for its exceptional work on previous animated series. The selection of an international animation studio reflected the current industry trend of global collaboration in animated content production, with South Korean studios increasingly becoming the preferred partners for American and international streaming platforms due to their technical excellence and cost efficiency. Studio Mir brought significant creative and technical expertise to the project, with the studio's leadership and key personnel becoming integral collaborators in realizing Shankar's creative vision. By September 2023, the production officially announced its partnership with Studio Mir, simultaneously revealing the first teaser for the series during Netflix's Drop One livestream event. This marketing initiative served multiple purposes, generating anticipation among existing fans of the franchise while introducing the property to broader audiences. The teaser, though brief, effectively conveyed the series' visual aesthetics and tonal direction, suggesting an action packed narrative grounded in contemporary settings with high stakes dramatic conflict. The actual animation production process extended across 2023 and 2024, involving the coordination of multiple animation teams, directors, and technical specialists. The series featured direction from several accomplished animation directors, including Kim Sun Min, Han Seong Woo, Park So Young, and Hong Ji Young, each bringing their distinctive stylistic approaches to the individual episodes while maintaining overall visual consistency. This collaborative directorial approach allowed for creative variation and artistic expression while ensuring that the series maintained a cohesive visual language across all 8 episodes. The animation process itself was intensive and technically demanding. The series showcases a blend of traditional 2D animation and 3D CGI elements, with the action choreography presented through dynamics, fluid animation that emphasizes character movement and combat sequences. The production team invested considerable effort in animating the complex fight scenes that form the core of the series' action element, with particular attention paid to the kinetic energy and stylized violence that characterize the Devil May Cry franchise. Multiple layers of animation, color correction, and compositioning while necessary to achieve the final visual product that viewers saw upon release. Studio La Cachette, a French animation studio, provided specialized animation services for episode 6, suggesting that the production team sought out specialized expertise for specific narrative sequence. This particular episode, The First Circle, would later become noted by numerous critics as a standout moment in the series, employing multiple animation styles and silent visual storytelling that distinguished it from the surrounding episodes. Post production. The post production phase of Devil May Cry was comprehensive and multifaceted, extending in well into early 2025 and requiring the expertise of numerous technical specialists. The editing process, supervised by editor Kim Gyong Chan, Kyung Min Ho, and Kim Min Kyung, involved the assembly and refinement of animated sequences, ensuring proper pacing and narrative coherence across the entire season. The editing team's work proved crucial in maintaining dramatic tension, establishing rhythm for action sequences, and facilitating transitions between narrative beats. Color correction and grading represented another significant aspect of post production, with colorists working to establish a cohesive visual palette that reinforced the series' tone and aesthetics. The decision to employ certain color schemes from the darker, more saturated tones of underground demon hunting sequences to the sterile, institutional blues and grays of dark-com facilities helped reinforce thematic elements and creative visual distinctions between different narrative spaces. The grading process required meticulous attention to detail as the color work needed to enhance the expressiveness of character performances while remaining consistent across episodes and sequences animated by different studios and teams. Sound design and audio editing constituted another crucial post production element. The creation of distinctive sound effects for demonic creatures, combat sequences, and supernatural phenomena required specialist sound designers to develop an audio vocabulary that felt both fantastical and grounding. The integration of dialogue recordings, which had been captured during voice acting sessions, with the visual elements demanded precise synchronization and attention to timing. The visual effects post production work included the refinement and integration of the series' CGI element. While primarily animated in 2D, the series incorporated computer generated imagery for certain demonic creature and visual effects sequences. The compositioning team worked to integrate these CGI elements seamlessly with the traditional animation, ensuring that the blend between animation techniques remained unobstructive and that the overall visual aesthetic remained cohesive. The technical integration proved challenging in certain instances, as evidenced by some critical commentary regarding the CGI demons and creatures, with certain reviewers noting that the computer generated elements occasionally disrupted the visual flow of action sequences. Quality control and final review processes ensured that the completed episodes met Netflix's technical standards for streaming distribution. This included optimization for various playback formats and resolutions, ensuring that viewers experience the series at the highest possible quality across different devices and the internet connection speeds. Music and original soundtrack. The musical dimension of Devil May Cry represented a crucial element of the series' identity and proved instrumental in establishing its distinctive atmosphere and emotional resonance. The original score was composed by Jeremy Harmsworth, Harmsworth and Joel Harmsworth, along with the synthwave electronic music project Power Glove, creating a hybrid approach to scoring that blended orchestral elements with electronic textures and modern production techniques. The decision to feature Limp Bizkit's "Rollin" as the series' opening theme proved particularly significant. The 1990s nu metal track, with its distinctive energy and aggressive swagger, served as an audacious choice for a 2025 animated series. This selection reflected Shankar's thematic interest in early 2000s Americana and contemporary commentary on post 9/11 American culture. The opening sequence itself unveiled in January 2025, effectively establishing the series' tone and visual style, with the Limp Bizkit track provided an energetic, contemporary musical foundation that resonated with the action-oriented narrative to follow. Beyond the opening theme, the series incorporated an electric mix of licensed music and original composition. The inclusion of "Afterlife" by rock band Evanescence represented a particularly notable musical selection. This licensed track features prominently in episode 6, The First Circle, enhancing what many critics recognized as the season's most visually and narratively distinctive episode. The choice of Evanescence's gothic tinged rock sound complemented the episode's thematic focus on Mary's past and emotional journey, with the music reinforcing the emotional weight and introspective quality of the narrative. The original instrumental score, composed by Harmsworth Brothers and Power Glove, employed a sophisticated approach that shifted between different musical styles depending on narrative context. Action sequences featured propulsive, energetic scoring that emphasized percussion and electronic elements, driving the kinetic energy of the fight scenes. Dramatic moments and character focused scenes received more restrained, atmospheric scoring that allowed dialogue and visual storytelling to take precedence. The variation in scoring maintained listener engagement across the entire season while providing musical architecture that reinforced narrative beats and emotional arcs. The inclusion of a diverse musical palette, from licensed contemporary rock and metal tracks to original electronic and orchestral compositions, reflected the series' thematic interest in contemporary American culture and the visual and sonic language of early 2000s action media. This musical approach helped ground the fantastical narrative elements within a recognizable culture and temporal context, reinforcing Shankar's stated intention to create an adaptation that engaged with contemporary themes and sensibilities. The nomination of "Afterlife" by Evanescence for Best Original Song in TV Show Limited Series at the Hollywood Music in Media Awards demonstrated the critical recognition of the series' musical accomplishment, validating the production's team choices regarding music integration and composition. Release, theatrical release, and streaming distribution. Rather than pursuing a traditional theatrical release, the producers of Devil May Cry strategically opted for an exclusive streaming distribution agreement with Netflix, reflecting the current industry landscape in which high quality animated content increasingly bypass theatrical exhibition in favor of direct to streaming releases. This decision positioned the series as a flagship animated offering within Netflix's content catalog, designed to attract subscribers and generate engagement within the streaming platform's user base. The series premiered globally on Netflix on April 3, 2025, with all 8 episodes of the first season becoming available simultaneously. This all at once release strategy adopted by Netflix for numerous content offering allowed viewers to consume the entire season at their own pace while generating immediate word of mouth discussion and critical analysis. The stimulus the simultaneous global release ensured that the international audiences received access to the series on the same day, despite time zone variation, preventing regional delay that had historically characterized theatrical releases. The April 3, 2025 premiere date was strategically positioned to generate momentum heading into the spring entertainment season. The timing allowed for coordination with Netflix's broader content release calendar while ensuring that Devil May Cry would have sufficient time to accumulate viewership and establish critical discourse before competing releases arrived on competing platforms. The distribution strategy incorporated regional localization efforts, with Netflix providing translation and dubbed audios in numerous languages to facilitate viewership across diverse global markets. This localization effort, while requiring substantial additional production resources, expanded the series' potential audience beyond English speaking viewers and reflected the increasingly global nature of streaming entertainment consumption, home media consideration, and future distribution. While the series was distributed primarily through Netflix's streaming platform at launch, the commercial success and critical reception of Devil May Cry prompted consideration regarding future home media release. The decision to eventually make the series available on physical media such as Blu-ray or DVD formats remained contingent on various contractual considerations between Netflix, Capcom, and the production companies, as well as market assessments regarding demand for physical copies in an increasingly digital consumption landscape. The immediate post release period saw no announcements regarding home media releases, with the streaming platform maintaining exclusive distribution rights. However, industry precedent suggested that successful Netflix animated series frequently received eventual physical media releases, particularly those with devoted fan bases and demonstrated commercial appeal. The archival value of preserving the series in physical formats represented a consideration for collectors and enthusiasts who prefer ownership of media over streaming access. Future broadcast television distribution, particularly on cable networks or digital platforms beyond Netflix, remained a distinct possibility depending on licensing agreements. International broadcasters had historically shown interest in acquiring rights to significant animated productions, particularly those demonstrating critical success and audience engagement. Reception, critical response, and aggregated reviews. The critical reception of Devil May Cry proved to be notably positive, while simultaneously reflecting divergent perspectives regarding the series' thematic approach and faithfulness to the source material. On the review aggregation platform Rotten Tomatoes, the series achieved an approval rating of 96% based on 27 collected reviews with an average critical score of 7.9 out of 10. This exceptionally high approval rating indicated substantial critical consensus regarding the series' quality as an animated production and its effectiveness as an entertainment, despite the presence of some dissenting voice within the critical community. Metacritic, which employ a weighted average methodology favoring reviews from major publication outlets, assigned Devil May Cry a score of 75 out of 100 based on 8 collected critical reviews. This score fell within the generally favorable reviews category, suggesting that critical consensus acknowledged the series' accomplishments while recognizing specific limitations or areas of concern regarding its execution or artistic choices. The divergence between the Rotten Tomatoes score and Metacritic assessment reflected differences in critical priorities and varying interpretations of what constitutes successful adaptation. While the overwhelming majority of critics recognized the series as an entertaining, well executed animated action production, a significant minority expressed reservation regarding narrative choices, thematic directions, or visual stylization. Positive critical reception. Aidan Kelly or Collider presented an enthusiastic endorsement of the series, awarding it a score of 9 out of 10. Kelly positioned Devil May Cry as one of the best new animated shows of 2025, commending the production for delivering what he characterized as a brilliant animated series that is as thematically rich as it is wildly entertaining. His review drew favorable comparisons to Shankar's previous work on Castlevania, suggesting that the producer had successfully refined his approach to video game adaptation while maintaining the artistic ambitions that distinguished his earlier projects. Daniel Kurland's review for Bloody Disgusting assigned a score of 4 out of 5, with particular praise directed toward the action choreography and artistic direction. Kurland highlighted the story enough artistry behind the action and battle choreography that rendered the adaptation a sheer delight, suggesting that the production's technical execution elevated the material beyond the mere entertainment into the realm of artistic achievement. His commentary on the art style noted really creative art direction and stylistic choices that make the series a visual triumph, indicating appreciation for the production's visual distinctiveness and technical accomplishment. Campbell Campbell of the AV Club provided a more measured endorsement with a rating of B-, characterizing Shankar's adaptation as mostly a fun love letter to the qualities that made it popular. Campbell specifically praised the series' soundtrack, highlighting the effective integration of licensed music, particularly noting the use of Evanescence's Afterlife in episode 6, which he identified as the season's standout episode. The integration of the recognizable contemporary music provided cultural touchstones that enhanced the series' thematic exploration of the early 2000s sensibilities. Randy Jones of RogerEbert.com similarly identifies episode 6 as the season's zenith, writing the everything pays off in the sixth episode, a chapter guided by silent visual storytelling that incorporates various animation styles and some aptly fitting needle drops. It is one of the year's best TV episodes to date, a bold move that proves why these studios hire Shankar for their adaptations. This assessment elevated the episode beyond the competent television storytelling into the realm of exceptional artistic achievement, suggesting that the production team had successfully demonstrated creative vision and technical mastery. Rafael Montamier of IGN assigned a score of 10, 8 out of 10, concluding his review with statement that positioned the series within broader context. Adi Shankar and Studio Mir craft a fun video game adaptation that doubles as deranged, bonkers, and bold homage to the indictment of Zero's Americana. If nothing else, it contains some of the best animation you are likely to see this year. This assessment acknowledged the series' dual functionality as both entertainment and cultural commentary, recognizing the technical animation excellence while situating the work with broader thematic and historical framework. Brett Cardaro of Comic Book Resources CBR awarded a score of 8 out of 10, commending the voice cast performance with particular praise but Johnny Yong Bosch's portrayal of Dante. Cardaro noted that Bosch is actually the perfect person to play him in the anime, and that his cocky one liners are often as genuinely entertaining as they are in the games. The review similarly praised Hon Lee's performance as the White Rabbit, describing it as the standout performance that rendered the antagonist a surprisingly amazing character. However, Cardaro's review also registered criticism regarding the CGI animation, noting that while the action is mostly great, it was held back by the appearances of some of the demons created using CGI. The fight choreography is consistently solid, but the CGI models just do not do it justice. Critical reservation and dissenting perspectives. Despite the predominantly positive critical response, significant dissenting voices emerged, particularly from critics who approached the series from perspective of established Devil May Cry franchise enthusiasts or those who harbored reservations regarding the adaptations of the thematic choices. Joshua Fox of Screen Rant presented a critical perspective grounded explicitly in his identity as a long-time Devil May Cry franchise fan. Fox expressed concern regarding the series' writing quality, particularly its incorporation of political commentary. He argued that the series' engagement with the themes of the war on terror and governmental overreach constituted material that was completely out of the place within the franchise's traditional context. For further critique, the character portrayal asserting that both Dante and Lady do not work because of how poorly it portrays old and new characters alike, suggesting fundamental incompatibility between the adapted versions and their established characterizations within the game canon. David Opie of Games Radar Plus presented a contrarian critical perspective, rating the series 2.5 out of 5 and arguing that the production's fundamental problem lays in its excessive devotion to its source material, while acknowledging that the series captured the spirit of games. Opie contended that there was a little depth beyond that, and that the series was very much stuck in the past rather than paying homage to it, failing to modernize the material for contemporary audiences. Opie criticized the series for attempting to convince viewers of Dante's coolness through assertion rather than demonstration, and characterized the action sequences as run of the mill scrimmage compared to the choreography standards established by Castlevania. Avi Revis of In Between Drafts articulated a more philosophical critique, claiming the series was fundamentally antithetical to the source material and claiming it possesses a nihilistic need to strip the identity of the franchise in favor of cynical reconstruction. Riva's review suggested that the series was characterized by excessive cynicism that consumed sincerity, arguing that a thick layer of cynicism covers all traces of heart. The review particularly criticized the character of Mary, describing her as portraying problematic characterization that rendered her a theocratic Nazi that eventually builds a concentration camp, while claiming that Shankar's exploration of politics was in extremely poor taste. Lois Kamner of CBR listed the series among the most disappointing anime of the 2020s, noting that while it delivered the goods with moments of good animation and solid characterization, these strengths were overshadowed by low quality animation and CGI, and it's deviated from the source material enough to not feel like a true adaptation of the game. Isaiah Colbert of IO9 offered mixed commentary on the female lead character, criticizing the depiction of Mary while praising voice actress Scout Taylor-Compton's performance. Colbert noted frustration that It is so disappointing to witness any sense of poignancy of her quieter contemplative moments or badassery being upended by her cursing so goddamn often, suggesting that her character development moments were undetermined by excessive profanity. Analysis of critical divergence. The critical response to Devil May Cry reflected fundamental disagreement regarding adaptation, philosophy, and thematic appropriateness. Critics broadly supportive of the series tended to evaluate it primarily as an animated action production within the contemporary streaming landscape, assessing its technical execution, entertainment value, and artistic ambition. These critics typically appreciated Shankar's willingness to engage with thematic material that departed from the game's traditional approach, viewing this departure as a creative strength that demonstrated artistic vision and contemporary relevance. Conversely, critics more skeptical of the adaptation frequently grounded their assessment in fidelity to source material and concerns regarding tonal and thematic consistency. These critics sometimes expressed discomfort with the political elements and darker thematic exploration, viewing them as inconsistent with the franchise's established identity as primarily action focused entertainment. The debate between these positions reflected broader discussion within fan and critical communities regarding the appropriate parameters for video game adaptation and the tension between honoring source material and creating independent artistic vision. Impact on video game sales and franchise momentum. One of the most significant measures of the series' success extended beyond traditional critical or commercial matrices to encompasses its impact on the source material's commercial performance. The release of Devil May Cry animated series coincides with increasing interests in the Devil May Cry video game franchise, with sales of Devil May Cry 5 experiencing a notable surge in the months following the series premiere. In June 2025, Capcom announced that Devil May Cry 5 has exceeded 10 million sales units, attributing a significant portion of this commercial success to increased interest generated by Netflix animated series. In September 2025, Capcom released financial reporting indicated that Devil May Cry 5 had become the company's best-selling game between March and September 2025, surpassing more recent releases such as Monster Hunter Wilds. Multiple industry analysts attributed this surprising result, which saw a game originally released in 2019 outperforming newer titles directly to the renewed franchise attention generated by Netflix series. Barrett Cardaro of CBR acknowledged this impact, asserting that whether fans liked the anime or not, there is no denying that it had a positive impact on the franchise's popularity. Lincoln Carpenter of PC Gamer similarly attributed increased sales to the series release, though he noted that concurrent promotional discount on digital storefronts such as Steam likely contributed additional purchase momentum. Carpenter's assessment was subsequently validated by Capcom's own financial disclosure on June 13, 2025, which revealed that price reductions concurrent with the series' April release had substantially facilitated increased sale volume, though the company clarified that the franchise had achieved 10 million sales in March prior to the series release, with the April June period representing additional growth. This phenomena, whereby a successful video game adaptation drove sales of the underlying intellectual property, represented a compelling vindication of the adaptation strategy, regardless of specific critical perspectives regarding the series' artistic merit. The tangible commercial impact on the source material provided objective evidence that the Netflix series had successfully attracted mainstream attention to Devil May Cry franchise, extending its cultural relevance to audience beyond dedicated gaming communities. Awards and recognition. The series' critical success translated into award consideration across multiple prominent entertainment industry platforms. In 2025, Devil May Cry received a nomination for Best TV Production at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival, one of the world's most prestigious animation festivals. This recognition positioned the series among the year's most accomplished animated television productions and acknowledged its technical and artistic accomplishment within the international animation community. The Hollywood Music in Media Awards recognized the series' soundtrack achievements, with Evanescence of Afterlife featuring prominently in episode 6, receiving a nomination for Best Original Song in TV Show Limited Series. This recognition validated the production's approach to music integration and acknowledged the effectiveness of the licensed track in enhancing the episode's emotional and narrative impact. The Game Awards, which annually honors video game related entertainment and adaptations, nominated Devil May Cry for Best Adaptation in 2025, positioning the series among that year's most successful video game adaptation. This recognition within the gaming community represented significant validation of adaptation's effectiveness in translating the franchise's essential element to animated television format. In 2026, the series received recognition from the Annie Award, the animation industry's most prominent honors, with the nomination for Outstanding Achievement for Musical in an Animated Television Broadcast Production. This industry recognition acknowledged the contribution of composers Jeremy Harmsworth, Joel Harmsworth, and Power Glove in creating an effective musical score that enhanced the series' narrative and thematic dimensions. Renewal and future trajectory. The commercial and critical success of Devil May Cry's first season resulted in a rapid renewal decision. On April 10, 2025, merely 1 week after the season's premiere, Netflix announced that the series had been officially renewed for a second season. This expedited renewal decision reflected confidence in the series' audience appeal and commercial viability as a flagship animated property within the streamer's content portfolio. The announcement included confirmation that season 2 would premiere on May 12, 2026, providing the production team with an extended timeline to develop, animate, and post produce the subsequent season. This substantial gap between seasons reflected the resource intensive nature of high quality animated television production, with the need for storyboarding, animation, post production work stretching across the extended production schedule. The renewal vindicated Shankar's creative vision and the substantial investment made by Netflix, Studio Mir, and Capcom in bringing the series to fruition. It also suggested Netflix's confidence in the series' long term commercial and cultural sustainability, positioning Devil May Cry as a significant property within its animated entertainment strategy. Conclusion. Devil May Cry's 2025 television adaptation represents a significant achievement in the evolution of video game to screen adaptations, demonstrating that thoughtful, well executed adaptations can successfully translate the essential appeal of gaming properties to animated television while introducing thematic depth and contemporary resonance. The production journey from Adi Shankar's 2018 announcement through the completion and release of an 8 episode first season involved collaboration between international production team, talented voice talent, and distinctive artistic vision. The series' critical reception, while demonstrating substantial critical approval and audience appreciation, simultaneously reflected legitimate debates regarding adaptation philosophy, thematic appropriateness, and the balance between honoring source material and creating independent artistic statements. These discussions enriched the cultural discourse surrounding the adaptation and reflected the passionate engagement of both long-time franchise enthusiasts and audience discovering the Devil May Cry universe through the television series. Most significantly, the series' tangible impact on the commercial performance of the underlying video game franchise provided objective evidence of its success in introducing or reintroducing audiences to the Devil May Cry universe. The alignment of critical success, audience engagement, and franchise momentum validated the creative and commercial investment in the adaptation project. As the series approaches its second season premiere in May 2026, Devil May Cry stands as a testament to the potential of video game adaptation when grounded in creative vision, technical excellence, and respect for source material, tempered with willingness to innovate and explore new thematic territory. The series' achievements suggest that the landscape of video game to screen adaptations continues to mature with both creators and audiences developing increasingly sophisticated expectations and appreciation for what the medium can accomplish when approached with artistic ambition and genuine engagement with the properties being adapted. Review. The first season of Devil May Cry had some frustrating issues, yet it still delivered a fun ride with bonkers finale and a killer soundtrack. Season 2 goes even harder on the political allegories and commentary that make the show more than just a gore fest, while doubling down on the emotional undertones of Dante's story by bringing in his long lost brother Virgil. Immediately, Virgil elevates the show with a tragic and compelling backstory, a thrilling arc, and the best fights of the season. Though the script remains predictable, Devil May Cry is still a riveting video game adaptation. Season 1 left off with the cowboy president of the US literally invading hell to the tune of Green Day's American Idiot. As it turned out, this war is not exactly universally popular, though the government and Darkom world their propaganda machine relentlessly to push the war on hell as a righteous battle against evil. We see plenty of backlash from the public, especially when footage of black site detention centers and the torturing of civilians goes public. If nothing else, creator and showrunner Adi Shankar knows to follow the lead of Grath Marigany's Dark Place when he says that writers who use subtext are actually all cowards. Is it too on the nose? Most definitely, but the overt references to the Iraq War combined with the very early 2000s soundtrack does give the show a unique identity that makes it stand out as an adaptation. The main thrust of the plot involves Vice President Bynes' Land James Corlett replacing the late Kevin Conroy. and the head of the Ouroboros Corporation, Arius. As a villain, Arius is not the most compelling character, though he does get a bit more characterization than he had in Devil May Cry 2, the plot of which serves as the biggest inspiration for the season alongside the 2013 reboot. Arius is mostly a stepping stone toward bigger and better villains. Take, for instance, the agent of hell sent to stop Ouroboros, Virgil. From the moment he steps into frame, Virgil becomes the star of the season. He is the popular opposite of Dante, super serious, no nonsense, and completely vicious. He arrives on Earth by mercilessly butchering a squad of Ouroboros soldiers, with the dynamic action edited to match the tune of drowning pools' bodies. Virgil's story is the highlight of season 2, a quest for vengeance full of twists and turns that challenges his own notion of justice, his allegiances, and his goals. But it is also a heartfelt tale with black flashbacks expanding on his and Dante's childhood and their relationship to their mother, Eva, where the first season focused on the reveal that Dante is a half demon and the son of a legendary demon warrior. This season turns its attention toward Eva and how she raised her boys and the very different paths they took. Johnny Yong Bosch and Robbie Damon do a great job portraying the emotional aspects of Dante and Virgil, respectively, with both men trying to hide the emotional scars they so clearly carry with them while letting that same trauma drive their very every decision. Virgil's story is the highlight of season 2, a quest for vengeance, full of twists and turns. Even if the visuals still suffer from CG demons and some unfortunate use of still images during some action scenes, the animation by Studio Mir remains dynamic and the fighting is kinetic. Episode 2 even employs some interesting art style changes that echo the phenomenal sixth episode of the first season. The soundtrack also remains one of the coolest things about this show, with some fantastic needles drops that fit the tone of the season. Devil May Cry returns for a second season that goes bigger than its predecessors in every way. Though the plot remains a bit predictable and the animation suffers from its use of CG, Virgil is a great addition to the show and brings with him a darker tone, a compelling emotional story, and some kick ass fight scenes. Review 2. Netflix has its share of animated series that feature vicious demon evisceration. However, Devil May Cry is the only series where Avril Lavigne's Scar Boy plays over a makeover montage and drawing poles. Let the bodies hit the floor. Crescendos as the character has a traumatic flashbacks and their PTSD begins to kick in. Devil May Cry is a blissfully lost in the 2000s and it effortlessly taps into the pop culture aesthetics that was present when Devil May Cry first landed on the PlayStation 2. Netflix's series continues to tonally nail the gaming franchise's style and ethos, even if the storytelling, world building, and characters do not always mesh with their source material counterparts. After a promising debut, the second season is just as strong as the first, if not even a little better once it discards some of the first season's unnecessary baggage and grows more confident in its writing. After season one's chaotic cliffhanger, Devil May Cry does not waste any time as it launches right into the new nightmares. Dante and company must assemble demonic artifacts so that Mundus can be defeated and the hell on earth does not literally come to pass. It's a solid enough foundation for an 8 episode season of television that never stops moving or looking ahead as a result. Devil May Cry's second season is well paced and never strays from its grander purpose and that apocalyptic clash that it culminates in. It's also an appreciated that it does not needily draw out Dante and Virgil's reunion. Rest assured that these two cross paths and blades well before the season's end. The storyline seems to largely be pulling from Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening, albeit while still taking many liberties with source material. This means a heavy focus on Virgil this season, who gets to pick up a lot of the slack while Devil May Cry demonstrates a surprising degree of the restraint before Dante's re-entered the picture. This impressive act of withholding is only possible because Devil May Cry now has Virgil and Lady, for that matter, to lean on for its signature absurdist action spectacles. This season also adopts structure where Dante and Virgil's childhoods are juxtaposed with their fractured relationship in the present. This helps reflect the full complexity of their relationship and just how far it has fallen. It is an approach that's hardly revolutionary, but it still gives this season a little extra dramatic juice and an emotional center that makes sure that it's more than just heightened battles of good versus evil. That being said, Virgil's backstory and the fate that he has subjected to are truly awful and a fitting deception of hell. Devil May Cry spends a lot of time telling characters that loved ones are weaknesses and impediments against perfection, only to then reinforce that unity is always better than destruction. A family member's shortcomings are just an opportunity for someone else to step in and pick up the slack. That's what family is. This may seem glib and obvious, but Devil May Cry really interrogates the power and meaning behind that word. Everything in Devil May Cry's second season boils down to family. This makes it all the more interesting that these episodes entertain the deeply cynical idea that malevolent corporations are using two superpowered siblings as bargaining chips against each other. Their divine purpose ultimately fuels corporate profit and market dominance. The Devil May Cry games were always deeply sarcastic and sardonic, but this adaptation is decidedly more nihilistic about society, even when it's not being taken over by hell demons. This season also really leans into the self aware propaganda that's released by Darkom in an effort to appease the masses and control the narrative. That's all very Robocop coded. It's an interesting element for season 2 to expand upon as the series tries to broaden its scope and add a few more irons into what's already a very crowded fire. That being said, most people are not going to get overly excited by lengthy boardroom scenes with bureaucrats. There are also some heavy handed moments that involve the liberation of innocent demons that feel forced and a little too Saturday morning cartoon for Devil May Cry. They are just sporadic enough that they are never real distraction. This is Devil May Cry, so at the end of the day, this is a series that needs to truly deliver on extravagant action set pieces. Fortunately, the second season still kicks off with a bombastic assault on the brutal hell beasts, while the soundtrack blares with Papa Roach and Evanescence. From that point forward, Devil May Cry continually raises the bar for its carnage. Studio Mir does great work with this property, but the chaotic carnage still falls short for impossibly high standards that Powerhouse set with Netflix's Castlevania series. There are really gruesome, exaggerated sequences that deliver a level of brutality that's hard to find in this style of animation outside of Invincible. At the same time, it is so impossibly removed from reality that it functions like a manic fever dream. At one point, Dante fires a rocket launcher and then rides the missile into battle. There are some messy masquerades with soldiers that allow for a more reckless body count. Devil May Cry oddly succeeds as a loving tribute to the work of Gonagi. This second season works just as well as a companion piece to Devilman Crybaby as it does for any game from the Capcom franchise, especially when it comes to the season's concluding clash. On the topic of the final fight, it's the type of non-sensational pandemonium that gamers have come to expect from any of Devil May Cry's boss battles. On a grander scale, it's impressive how this season handles Mundus as the central antagonist. It would be very easy for Mundus to operate like some superfluous shadowy figure who barks order from afar without actually proving his power. Devil May Cry uses the bulk of its premiere to highlight Mundus's incomprehensible power and why he is such an apocalyptic threat. Mundus's godlike nature and the enormity of all this bring Netflix's Blood of Zeus to mind, which admittedly had a lot more to say with its exploration of omnipotence and mankind fragility. This season suffers from being slightly repetitive with so many battles that come down to the same blade based combat and choreography. Devil May Cry sometimes expect the introduction of an exaggerated weapon to be enough to replace creative strategies and clever plot twists. Reputation aside, this season features some genuinely unique demon designs, even if a lot of this blood soaked carnage blends together. The design for Jester is eerie perfection and considerably more distinct than season one's White Rabbit. Devil May Cry's second season is an easy weekend wing that maintains the madcap tempo of the first season, winning chemistry between Dante and Virgil, as well as a narrative that is not afraid to put other characters in the spotlight, helps this season overcome some of the past season's hurdles. This is a tight, economical season that does not overstay its welcome, but part of the charm and impact is weakened the second time around. This season's world building teases plenty of more adventures to come. 2 seasons in, Devil May Cry needs to be careful not to become a parody of itself, which at times already feels like a parody and still finds ways to raise the stakes. Review 3. The anime adaptation of the video game Devil May Cry made a notable debut on Netflix as it conjured up 5.3 million views in its first week of streaming on the app. The adult themed animated series hit number 4 and made the top 10 in 87 countries. The show's release even had a profound effect on its source material as it boosted sales of the Devil May Cry video game series on stream. The series was also well received by critics with an aggregate of 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, Netflix is announcing that the anime is being renewed for a second season. The official logline reads from Capcom, led by Adi Shankar and animated by Studio Mir, comes Devil May Cry, a Netflix animated series based on the hit video game IP, premiering April 2025, and the synopsis from Netflix says in this animated adaptation of the popular Capcom game and from the vision of Adi Shankar, sinister forces are at the play to open the portal between the human and demon realms. In the middle of it all is Dante, an orphan demon hunter for hire, unaware that the fate of both worlds hang around his neck. Shankar said, I am honored that Netflix and Capcom have entrusted me to shepherd the Devil May Cry franchise. Alex Larson and I love these characters. We are part of the fandom and vow to surpass the exceptionally high bar we set for ourselves. The first game in the long running Devil May Cry franchise exploded onto the PlayStation 2 in 2001. The action adventure hack and slash video game features lightning quick gameplay, aerial acrobatics, devastating combos, and outlandish plots that grow more absurd with every entry in the series. Populating the franchise is a cast of colorful characters who aid Dante and his fight against evil. You all need a detailed chart to track them all, but it's all part of the fun. According to Capcom, the latest chapter in the Devil May Cry video game series, Devil May Cry 5, has sold 7.2 million copies, with a vast world of comedic allies and sinister foes, and lore ripe for expansion. Netflix's Devil May Cry anime series had been successful follow-up to Castlevania Nocturnus and another popular installment in Capcom's library after the successful release of Street Fighter 6 and Resident Evil 4 remake back in 2023. Review 4. Series creator Adi Shankar has teased Virgil's season 2 debut in the hit animated series Devil May Cry, which returns May 12 on Netflix. In the upcoming season of the adaptation of Capcom's popular game, a war between worlds ignites as Dante must battle the only force that mirrors his own, his estranged twin brother Virgil. Dante must also confront his own devils and the feeling of family he lost as a child. With the re-emergence of Virgil, Dante faces the question of whether he will lay to rest old demons or fall victim to them. Here's a sneak peek. I am allergic to formula, said Shankar. I dislike when successful shows turn into comfort food. Devil May Cry won't be TV death loops. My mission for season 2 was to capture the feeling of a 2000s film franchise entry where the audiences cannot predict the next turn. When asked what he is most excited to tackle in bringing Virgil to life, Shankar said, his restraint. The interesting part is that Virgil's a guy who can stand completely still and still feel like the most dangerous one in the room. His presence does the talking. The show's voice cast included Johnny Yong Bosch as Dante, Robbie Daymond as Virgil, and Scout Taylor-Compton as Lady. Studio Mir handles the animation. Review 5. Like most Adi Shankar Netflix's show, the first season of Devil May Cry had a broad, casual audience appeal, but somehow managed to really upset hardcore fans of the franchise, mostly for quite nitpicky, lore related reasons. I rather liked it, even while I could acknowledge that it was not exactly a one to one adaptation. The good news is that season 2 incorporates many more recognizable elements from the game, including notably a big focus on Dante's brother Virgil. The bad news is that the overwhelming visual style and soundtrack threatens to become really overbearing, and I am not sure there is enough meat on the bone to stop the whole thing from feeling tedious after a while. Plot-wise, we are picking up after the end of the first season, with Dante's being kept on ice in the basement of Darkcom headquarters, while the higher-ups, notably Bynes and Arias, wage open war on Mekai, the hellish demon underworld. If you are not in the know, Arias, the antagonist of Devil May Cry 2, has a similar motivation as in the game, with his ultimate intentions being to use a group of mystical artifacts known as the Arcana to install Agrosax, the chaos, as the king of Mekai by deposing Mundus. I can already imagine anyone who is not a franchise fan trying to understand what on earth I'm talking about here. That's one of the key issues with Devil May Cry. Now that I mention it, it's trying to court a casual audience, but it built on elements that I will only really matter to die-hard faithfuls. This was true of the first season as well, but much less so than here, where the mere sight of Virgil or the mention of, say, Ebony and Ivy, Dante's cool-looking twin pistols, is clearly intended to elicit a response to those in the know but won't mean a thing to those who are not. Anyway, to accomplish his goal, Arius needs to lure Virgil into a trap so that he can use his and Dante's sharp blood to open a gate to Mekai, the exact opposite of the goal in the first season. If I remember rightly, and kill Mundus with a special demon killing weapon, which is a kind of a thing in this series. It sounds like I am revealing too much, but I am honestly not. This is only the setup, and it is so nakedly obvious that Arias is up to no good that even anyone who has never played any of the games will be able to identify him as the bad guy from a mile away. But enough plot. The broader storytelling allows Devil May Cry Season 2 to feel less focused on Dante, who is not even defrosted until midway through the second episode. And the introduction to Virgil into the dynamic between Dante and Lady is a pretty compelling new element. It also excuses a bunch of explanatory flashbacks which help to flesh out the dynamic between the brothers, their father, Sparda, and the demon king Mundus, who turned Virgil into the Dark Knight Nilo Angelo, which is another absurdly deep cut for the fans that I will probably end up feeling a bit confusing for newcomers. The work by Korean animation studio Mir remains pretty top notch, and there's ton of the action that is often very cool and kinetic. But I must confess that the show's determination to stage every set piece like a new metal music video started to really grate on me after a while. The soundtrack is a great in isolation with loads of recognizable brands like Korn, Evanescence, and Papa Roach, and creative remixes of tunes from the first season and the games. But it can sometimes feel like a little performative, like it is trying to create the impression of being cool and edgy, rather than actually being cool and edgy. Mileage may vary with these things. It's basically impossible to tell where people will come down on it. I have really enjoyed several Adi Shankar's show, especially Castlevania, and was shocked to discover that lots of people hated it for reasons I am not sure I entirely understood. Hardcore fans can be like that, I guess, and Devil May Cry is bound to annoy plenty of them in season 2, just like it did the first time around. I still persist that there's a pretty enjoyable series here, which occasionally show flourishes of creative artistry, but it also feels like it is wearing out its welcome a bit already. Review 6. Netflix's Devil May Cry Season 2 dives into Dante and Virgil's rivalry and a looming war. Here's when it released globally. Netflix's Devil May Cry Season 2 is gearing up to bring Dante back into the spotlight. Adapted from Capcom's video game franchise of the same title, the anime series follows the story of a demon hunter for hire named Dante. The series is being produced by Adi Shankar, who also serves as the showrunner, and animation will be handled by Studio Mir again. It has quickly found success among audiences with its stylish animation and for exploring a beloved video game character's story. Season 1 laid the foundation for the bigger chapter. It introduced major characters and organizations while also exploring Dante's family legacy. Major conflicts were also set into motion involving Demon and the underworld. Now, as Devil May Cry Season 2's release edged closer, expectations continue to grow among fans. Season 2 promises a deeper dive into Dante's story by bringing his rivalry with Virgil into the picture. The action is expected to live up to the expectations again, while new characters will be introduced as well. We further break down detail regarding its release. Release details of Devil May Cry Season 2. All episodes of Devil May Cry Season 2 will be released on May 12, 2026 on Netflix at 12 a.m. PT ET. To watch the series, you will need an active Netflix subscription. Plan ranges from $8.99 per month to $26.99 per month. For interested audience, below is a complete breakdown of the global. Speaking about the scale of the new season in an interview with IGN, creator Adi Shankar emphasized how much bigger things are getting. Season 2 is just way bigger in terms of scope and scale. So it's the difference between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. That's the comp. Or Halo 1 and Halo 2, where in terms of just scale and scope, orders of magnitude bigger and larger. And the tone is just completely different on the top of that. The tone is very different, so it cuts deeper. The showrunner is suggesting a big shift in almost aspects of the series, including its action and tone. Cast and characters returning for season 2 at the center of Netflix's Devil May Cry season 2 is Dante, voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. The character remains the heart of the story, a demon hunter with a sharp tongue, a complicated past, and a strong connection to Sparta. Mary, also known as Lady, returns with Scout Taylor-Compton, voicing the character once again. Her relationship with Dante may take a more complicated turn this time around. Virgil, Dante's twin brother, is expected to have a much larger presence in the new season, voiced by Robbie Daymond. His introduction in the previous season set the stage for a deeper exploration of sibling rivalry. New characters are also set to appear, including Arius, a villain pulled from the game series. Behind the scenes, Adi Shankar returns as creator and executive producer, with Alex Larson continuing as writer. Studio Mir remains in charge of animation, ensuring visual continuity with the first season. In an interview with comicbook.com, Shankar spoke about balancing returning and new characters, saying, well, you want to avoid a Spider Man 3 scenario. By the way, I rewatched Spider Man 3, and this is another thing where there's a consensus reality because I thought it was pretty freaking great. You could have 100 characters just randomly showing up in Devil May Cry and they disappear, but you have to have an emotional investment. I am trying to be the Christopher Nolan of this space, and that man has a lot of discipline. That approach suggests the series will focus on character driven storytelling even as the scale increases. The trailers have already hinted at major conflicts ahead, particularly between Dante and Virgil. Their dynamic, shaped by years of separation and opposing ideologies, is expected to take center stage. Review 7. Netflix wasted no time in announcing that Devil May Cry is officially returning for a second season, just days after its first one exploded onto the platform. The high energy anime adaptation of Capcom's beloved video game series came out swinging with a 95% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and quickly slashed its way into the global Netflix top 10, landing at number 4. With Adi Shankar developing the series, known for his unique takes on genre adaptations, the show reimagines Dante's demon slaying exploit with cinematic ambition and serialized style. In this animated adaptation of the popular Capcom game and from the vision of Adi Shankar, sinister forces are at the play to open the portal between the human and demon realm. In the middle of it all is Dante, an orphaned demon hunter for fire, unaware that the fate of both worlds hang around his neck. The first season consists of 8 episodes and moves away from the monster of the week formula that defined the 2007 anime. Instead, Shankar went for something much more epic in scope. Shankar told Games Radar Plus, what I wanted to do with this was three things. First of all, the original anime was very much like a monster of the week style format until you got to the last 3 episodes, then it was an arc. But this one, I wanted it to feel like a giant movie, like a Hollywood blockbuster from between 1999 and 2004. References being The Matrix, Underworld, Bad Boys, Equilibrium. I could go on and on and on. But I wanted it to feel like a Hollywood blockbuster, and really, I wanted the audience to experience Devil May Cry in that mode. You can definitely see that in the series. Long-time fans of the franchise get familiar swagger of Dante, but with a cool new edge. And the addition of two powerful voice performances from the late icons Kevin Conroy and Tony Todd makes the series hit even harder. So yeah, season 2 is coming and considering the momentum, Netflix might have a long running anime hit on its hand. Review 8. Netflix has released the first look teaser trailer for Devil May Cry Season 2, which discloses its release date window. An adaptation of Capcom's Japanese video game franchise of the same name, Devil May Cry, premiered on April 3, 2025. Its first season was received well, prompting Netflix to renew the animated series for its sophomore chapter a week later. Devil May Cry Season 2 comes out in 2026. Devil May Cry Season Two's first look teaser reveals that the hit animated show will return on Netflix sometimes in 2026. The teaser also promises an epic showdown between twins Dante and Virgil in the Devil May Cry Season 1 finale. Dante and Mary defeat the White Rabbit and thwart the attempted invasion of Earth. Despite this, the narrative ends on a cliffhanger as a reluctant Mary betrays the Dante because of his abilities and imprison him. Meanwhile, William Bynes starts the invasion of Hell. In the season's final moments, a horned demon who appears throughout the show frees captives of his kind from the Ouroboros Corporation. He then urges them to serve the ruler of the Hell, Mundus, before removing his helmet. The horned demon is revealed to be Dante's twin, a still alive Virgil. Accordingly, it makes sense that these two will have their inevitable duel in the sophomore season. Adi Shankar created Devil May Cry from the above mentioned video game franchise, with Studio Mir providing the animation. Shankar's previous credits include The Guardian of Justice and Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix. As for Studio Mir, the Studio Korean animation company has worked on the projects like The Legend of Korra, Harley Quinn, My Adventures with Superman, and X-Men 97. The voice cast for Devil May Cry includes Johnny Yong Bosch and as Dante, Robbie Daymond as Virgil, and Scout Taylor-Compton as Merrick. Notably, Kevin Conroy, who voiced William Bynes in the inaugural season, passed away in 2022. Review 9. Netflix ups the ante with Devil May Cry Season 2 with more action, more demons, and more family drama for Dante and Virgil. The adult animated series, based on the hit Capcom video game franchise of the same name, is produced by showrunner Adi Shankar and animated by Studio Mir. The cast features Johnny Young Bosch, Robbie Diamond as Virgil, and Scout Taylor-Compton as Lady. Set briefly after the events of Season 1, the human world and the demon world, Mikai, are in a full-blown war, just as Dante and his estranged twin brother Virgil are reunited now in Devil May Cry Season 2. Dante must confront and conquer his inner demons while also facing the family he lost as a child. Unfortunately, Virgil's re-emergence is not exactly a joyous family reunion, and Dante has to decide if he can lay his old demons to rest or fall victim to them. Meanwhile, Mary Arkham, also known as Lady, has her fair share of sins to atone for from last season, which leads her to a new revelation. The past comes back for our main character in Devil May Cry Season 2. The animation continues to exceed expectations in Season 2. Devil May Cry Season 2 delivers a well balanced blend of power and gracefulness in every sense. The action scenes feel particularly expertly choreographed, with every sword strike and punch landing with intent and impact. Devil May Cry Season 2 also does a great job of making characters' movements reflect their personalities. For example, Dante's fighting style reflects his adaptability, explosiveness, and reckless behavior. In comparison, Virgil's show a certain level of precision, discipline, brutality, and his strategic mind. The soundtrack this season further complements the season's animation and adds a layer of entertainment value to the show. The music is not just background noise for the scenes, it amplifies the shapes and soundscape for the reason, whether through high energy rock or more somber ballads. The music featured this season delivers the right emotional beats for whatever the scenes call for. Paired with a stellar animation, this season's soundtrack and score elevate Devil May Cry Season 2, making viewers feel even more emotionally invested. The animation is bigger and better than ever. Devil May Cry Season 2 does an excellent job of building upon the groundwork that last season started. This season's plot deepens the lore of Devil May Cry with nods to the franchise's root. This is slight divergence from last season, which featured a new original villain, the White Rabbit. However, being too familiar with the source material can make the plot seem a little predictable at times, especially for fans who are knowledgeable about the certain villain characters and plotlines from the video games. One of the plot point and characters from this season pulls inspiration from Devil May Cry Season 2, which features the Ouroboros organization. Ouroboros is an immensely powerful mega corporation that uses resources from the demon world to create bioweapons. The organization is led by a powerful scorer named Arius. Without giving too much, it is clear from the start that Arius' intentions for Dante and Virgil serve a darker and greater power, a power that is on a bigger, far more supernatural scale than what Dante has faced before. Despite the villain's intentions being strongly telegraphed and revealed early in Devil May Cry Season 2, the series still keep audiences on their toes, throwing in a few original twists and unexpected turns. New additions and plot points keep the series fresh while still maintaining its video game core. In addition to nods and homages to the source material, Devil May Cry Season 2 introduced original characters such as Professor Lucan and his granddaughter, Matty. As far as what the second season shows, neither of these characters has any connection to the source material. Nonetheless, they are serve as a purpose in the plot and in the development and growth of other characters. Most poignantly, Matty's unfortunate trauma serves as a mirror for Mary. The young orphan girl lost her parents when she was young, and her life has not been easy. Similarly, Mary, who lost her mother due to her father's demon research, feels something akin to the young girl's pain and anguish when it comes to grief and wanting revenge. Mary has a full circle moment with Mattie that allows her to help the young girl processes her pain and hopefully see a life beyond seeking revenge. When Devil May Cry returns for a third season, it will be interesting to see whether Matty is further developed and plays a larger role in the story. The relationship between Dante and Mary is explored further in Devil May Cry Season 2. In contrast, Professor Lucan's inclusion seems to hint at the connection of the Dante's father, Sparta. Additionally, Lucan hints at understanding mystical power greater than those Dante has faced before. Lucan even goes on to suggest he could train Dante to help him understand a greater magical power within himself and to help him walk the right path. Unfortunately, this season only scratches the surface and does not get to explore everything Lucan knows on his connection to Sparta. This ultimately makes his character feel like a setup for a greater payoff in the next season's story. Mary and Dante's relationship enters a new territory this season as they recognize their romantic feelings for one another, whether it is their equally traumatic past or their magnetic chemistry. Dante and Mary coupling work for the plot and both characters. It is refreshing to see that Mary's development as the sole female protagonist does not stagnate simply because she and Dante are romantically entangled. Instead, her development does not solely revolve around her relationship with Dante. Devil May Cry Season 2 puts the effort into further fleshing out Mary as she possesses her guilt and regret over her role in inadvertently creating the White Rabbit and masquerading the innocent mechanism. Throughout this season, the show shows how Mary has grown from a loyal soldier who follows order to someone who goes out of her way to do what is right. Dante taps into his more vulnerable side this season. Dante even undergoes his own character transformation, surprisingly enough, and matures a little more this season. It is no secret that Dante puts on an immature and reckless facade to cope with his loss and pain. However, Devil May Cry Season 2 delves deeply into Dante's emotional, revealing his more vulnerable side. The display of vulnerability reveals a new layer of Dante's character. It shows that beneath his carefree nature lies a person with a big heart and an even greater capacity for compassion. The show does an excellent job of establishing Virgil as a newcomer in the series. Watching the plot unfolds from Virgil's point of view offers the audience an in depth look at the character beyond his role as a rival to Dante. It allows him to feel like a fully fleshed out character with his own moral system and priorities, which definitely cause him and his brother to clash. Much of the brothers' issue in Devil May Cry Season 2 stems from their rivalry and the unfortunate misunderstanding arising from their shared trauma and separation. Nonetheless, the show highlights that the brothers are at their strongest and best when they work together, a recurring lesson from their deceased mother that continues to hold this season. Next season, it will be interesting to see whether Dante and Virgil ever mend their family ties or are doomed to remain on opposing sides. The clash between the brothers is everything fans could want. Season 2 also does not shy away from controversial themes that are very relevant to today's global climate. The core conflict between the human world and Mikai resemble the all too familiar cycle of imperialism, where one oppressive force, in this case the United States and Darkom, uses the guise of protecting the world from demons invading Earth only to exploit Mikai's residents and resources for experimentation and wealth. Whether it is meant to reflect current events, this season's conflict between Darkom and Mikai clearly parallels how foreign policy operates in the real world, particularly in how media and propaganda are powerful tools for spreading the anti demon message and hearted towards all the residents of Mikai including the innocent, the dehumanization, and propaganda. Against Mikai mirrors the real world tactics government uses to generate fear and legitimize war crimes. Ultimately, Devil May Cry Season 2 does not disappoint. The season uses Mary and other members of Darkom to deepen this commentary, who provides a necessary layer of nouns to the show. Mary and other officers' growing discomfort with their leadership's decisions and motivations highlights the uncomfortable and dangerous nature of opposing institutional authority. This plotline underscores the importance of the resisting propaganda and having the courage to do what is right. This plotline gives the season of Devil May Cry a stronger political edge and grounds it in the theme that feel. Devil May Cry Season 2 does not disappoint and delivers a spectacular sequel to the last season. The animation combines precision and impact while the soundtrack infuses every song with the right vibes, energy, and emotion, adding to the visceral, immersive viewing experience from start to finish. The show provides in depth character development for Dante, Mary, and Virgil, helping set the stage for bigger conflicts to be explored next season.